Haha, we are here. We are here, family. What you doing? I was BSing. I wasn't BSing, family. It's 2022. I don't know what that means exactly, in numerology and all that, but it's a very important year, obviously. And I want to start out. Gratitude is one of the most important things we could do to reach higher levels of frequency wise. So I just want to thank Dr. Phil Valentine, Brother Yosef, Rod Hayes, Billy Carson for agreeing to come on tonight. It's hard to get individuals sometime, a lot of time, none of us are going to agree on everything. And, there's something in humanity called the ego that prevents us from joining forces. And it's just a pleasure to have these gentlemen on tonight. It's definitely a pleasure. We see how other races could disagree on things, but yet join forces to build things and to do things. And we need to learn from that. We're an old race. We're the oldest race, and we forgot some things along the way. So it's time to remember some things. And I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank them. And I'm gonna get to some ads, and then tell your friends, tell your family, your friends and family, ladies and gentlemen, this is about to be one of the most important shows on this channel this year. And we'll be right back after this break. Shout out to everybody. We got 1,300 people in the chat in 1 minute. That's a record breaker. That's a record in 1 minute, 1,300 people. So we're gonna keep. We're gonna have a lot of people in here tonight. Tell your family. Now we up to 1,500. Tell your family. Tell your friends. It's gonna be a great show. Great show. Great show. Good vibes tonight, family. We'll be right back after this break.
Hey there! Had a bad dream? I have dreams too. Some parts are scary and some parts are fun. Always remind yourself, it's only a dream and everything will be okay. I had a dream about being in a forest too. Check it out, my pet Petey was with me. Order your copy of Kayla Petey and...
Okay, family. Okay, we are now back. Let me see what's going on in the chat room. Oh, before we start, also, I want to share something that's very, very important. So, y'all know my channel got suspended about 2 weeks ago. And it got suspended because the elder that's on the show tonight, Dr. Phil Valentine, was on it. And the elder didn't really say nothing. He didn't try to disrespect my show. We know what the deal is by now. And the elder said a code word that we use, and they still tag me for whatever. I'm not going to even say what they tagged me for. But in order to get a certain level of information, we have to build our own networks. So I commend Billy Carson for having Forbidden Knowledge TV, where he does what he wants, he says what he wants, and he brings the people that he wants, and he allowed the brothers. He's a brilliant businessman. So shout out to Billy Carson. But the elder Dr. Phil Valentine is having a webinar on this is June. When is this, Doc?
June 5th.
June 5th.
Yeah.
And family, there's so much stuff that Doc can't say on this network. And I'm appreciative for being on this network and building this community that I'm building. But Doc has to do what he has to do. So I advise everybody. We have 2,200 people in here already. Everybody needs to sign up to Doc's webinar. I'm about to post a link, and I'm gonna post the link continuously throughout the show. So when you see the link, click on the link, and even after the show, the link is going to be in the description bar. Click on the link in the description bar to see what Doc has to say. He's been doing this for so long. He's one of the, he told us about sun gazing. He told us about chakras. Before all of this became mainstream, Dr. Valentine was on here teaching the people about all of this. So he deserves our love and support. And you'll see how they're censoring the man. You'll see how they attack the brother. So make sure you support this brother on this webinar, family. All right. So with that being said, I think that anybody. Okay, yeah. With that being said, I guess we can start the show, right?
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna go out and come back in, Brother Rich. My screen's doing something funny.
Okay.
Real quick. All right.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, so make sure you support Doc. I'm gonna keep posting and then shout out to everybody who was with the Qigong class. Huge success with Wayne Chandler this weekend. Huge success. That's another master teacher. Listen,
yeah, that show was fire.
Oh, you with Wayne Chandler? You seen it? I'm glad you see it, my brother. I'm glad you seen it. So to start the show, family, the show was inspired by several things. This show was inspired by several things. The last show I did with Phil that got taken down, Phil talked about the deep state, the connection between the deep state and extraterrestrials. Brother Yosef has a his latest video on YouTube. He's talking about the 4 root races and the rise of the star nations. And there was a U.S. congressional hearing on UFO sightings, the first one in over 50 years. So just several things inspiring me to say, let me do a show on black extraterrestrials. Why? Because we are often left out of the conversation. We think it's a white thing. We think it's white people get abducted. We think that, that has nothing to, we think we have too many problems here on earth. And I understand why people feel that way, because it's sensory overload. When you think about the police, when you think about oppression, when you think about, it's like sensory overload of oppression, where it's like, goddamn, I can't even think about that. Give me a break. So I understand that, but Dr. Delbert Blair is my biggest inspiration to do this show. So with that being said, let me start out with, before I get into the questions, I would love to know, because I interviewed all your brothers, I interviewed a lot of the greats, and a lot of y'all talked about your personal experiences with UFOs or extraterrestrials. I would love to know, before we really start the deep questioning and answering, could you tell me your individual experiences with either extraterrestrials, UFOs, or something what they call paranormal? And we could go from Brother Yosef to Rod to Billy to Phil, from the youngest to the oldest to the eldest.
All right.
Okay. So for me personally, family, I had just started becoming conscious, and I had an experience of seeing my first UFO. And of course, my whole family thought I was crazy. They thought I was, because apparently I was already worshiping the devil in their eyes, right? So, it was about maybe 2009, maybe 2010. I never forget, I used to work at Netflix back when they used to have the CDs, and I used to go to work every morning. I was coming out of Christianity, so I was reading a lot of government conspiracy theory stuff, extraterrestrial stuff, and I wanted to see a UFO so bad. And for about 6 months, I didn't see nothing. And I used to go to work at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I just knew I was going to see one because nobody was around. Never happened, right? But one particular day, I'm going to the store to get my wife some food, and I forgot my phone at home. It's like these things knew I forgot my phone. It was the craziest thing ever. And as I'm driving down the street, I see what looked like the moon. I thought it was the moon, but it was a spherical ship, and it was orange, and I could literally see the doors on the front of this thing. And I thought that I went crazy for a second, because I'm like, how can nobody else see this thing? It's sitting in the middle of the sky, right in front of the cloud. So I got out of my car because I started panicking, like, oh my God, like they're here. Like, I was tripping. And this Chinese guy, who was a Chinese food delivery guy, pulled up behind me and said, what is that? And I kind of grabbed him. I was like, you see it, bro? Like, I know I'm not crazy. Do you see this? He says, yeah. So while me and him are looking there pondering, this thing it's like somebody wiped their hand across the sky. It just disappeared in thin air. And from that day forward, I've been seeing this ship probably on a weekly basis. I've had interactions with it in my dreams. And that's my first personal experience. Now, the second time, real quick, my wife, who thought I was lying, I'll never forget, the movie Thor came out. We went to go see it in 2011. And I took her out into this bike trail, and I asked the UFO to appear. And right in front of her face, it appeared. Right in front of her face. And that's when I realized, us as Black people, we have the ability to call our ancestors from the sky, or our light ships from the sky at will. If you believe enough to actually call it from the sky, it'll be there. And a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, who watching this has actually seen ships in the sky. So that was my first experience with it, family.
Deep, my brother. Yeah, Rod?
Well, my experience with extraterrestrials is a little bit more based on my genetic memory and my telepathic communication with those we call extraterrestrial beings. I'm in direct communication through telepathy with Inanna of the Anunnaki, who is the Queen of Heaven and Earth. I also was told telepathically where the New Jerusalem, Crystal City, which is actually Atlantis, they told us it sank, but it flew away. Genesis 7:17. And it's going to come back from the sky just like it went up. It's going to land on Emerald Lake in Colorado. Look it up. all of the dates, all of the things are significant to the contact and communication and what we call downloads that everybody taking. Memory wise, I remember the construct that created the human as an organic um, micro technology, phalanx technology called DNA, right? So my experience with them is an ongoing routine of communication with extraterrestrials using the means of telepathy. So that's what my experience in dealing with them, that's what it's like.
Yeah, Billy.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's amazing. First of all, it's an honor to be on this panel with all of y'all. It's an incredible panel. Shout out to Richard for putting this whole thing together. It's really amazing because one of the hardest things for Black people to talk about are these phenomena, UFOs, beings, aliens, whatever you want to call them, multidimensional entities or whatever. And it took me a very long time to come forward with this information. When this happened to me, I had my first experience was all the way back when I was a little kid. This is back in 1977 in Miami. We had just moved down from Queens, New York. Used to live in Cambria Heights, Queens, and parents were looking for a better way of living. Unfortunately, they decided to pick Miami. Didn't really work out too well, unfortunately. But when we were down there, we lived close to the Opelika Airport, and so I would go out in the backyard and I would watch the airplanes go over the back, because I would. It was like I wanted to see how long it would take for the airplanes to go across the horizon, and so the airplanes would take a few minutes to go across the horizon. And for me, that was amazing, because even as a little kid, only being like 7 years old and understanding, wow, these planes are moving fast, but it looks like they're moving slow from where I'm looking up. And then this one day when I was out there doing that, remember, there's nothing else to do back then. You had to go outside and play. And the neighborhood was so dangerous, I could only go in the backyard. And so this object comes across, but it comes across and it clears the horizon in seconds, not minutes. It literally goes right across, and it doesn't look like an airplane. Even as a little kid, I knew what an airplane looked like, tail, wings, a fuselage, a cockpit. It didn't have any of that. And so that really shocked me. I was like, whoa, what did I just see? And then it came back, but it came back much lower when it came back. And then it stopped and it hovered for about, 3 or 4 seconds. And then it just went, poof. It went back out the way that it came in. And I was just completely like blown away. The word UFO didn't exist for me. The word alien didn't exist for me yet. Those words weren't even in my vocabulary at that time. All I knew was that I saw something that didn't look like a plane. So I thought it was probably something that, that was, was made by Americans, military. So I went to the Rainbow Park Elementary Library the next day, and I got down all the aerospace books from the Encyclopedia Britannica, and I started looking for what I saw, and I could not find it. I looked at Delta Wing, Swept Wing. I looked at the SR-71s. Excuse me. I looked at, hold on 1 second. A lot of the asthma's acting up a little bit tonight. Look at a lot of the different technology that they had out there, ballistic missiles, all these things that I looked at, but nothing compared to what I saw. But that started me on a lifelong journey into this whole path. Much later, in 2010, I started a new project, which you've probably seen on TV. It's called Fort Terra Nova. It's an underground shelter that I built in Northwest Georgia, just outside of Elberton County. And during the process of working on this huge project, it caught the eye of TV networks, and they wanted to know why I was building this underground base. It was that's a whole nother show to talk about, but I decided that I needed something like that for the future of my family and maybe even others. So I built this base. It's a massive base. It can save the lives of 360 people. I bring it up because maybe it has something to do with this occurrence, but this is my first actual encounter. And so right after getting done doing some interviews and talking about this big project, I've come home. It's about 9:30 at the latest PM in the evening, and I'm watching some ESPN sports updates because I'm missing everything working on this big project. And all of a sudden, the house lights go down and everything turns lavender. The the TV goes boom and just kind of goes off. I look over my left shoulder because I thought my boys were in the left side of the house. There's a split floor plan, 2 rooms back there, and 1 room is in the middle, and 2 rooms on the other side. So I look over my left shoulder to see if my boys were playing a trick on me or playing a prank, and they weren't there. And when I turned around, these 2 beings were right in my face. Just 2 looked like the typical grays that you might see on TV, but they almost kind of looked like they weren't. I guess, like organic. Even those big eyes didn't look like real eyes. They looked like some type of material, almost like maybe, I don't know if they were goggles or whatever. But whatever happened at that moment is when my brain started shaking in my skull. I didn't get any telepathic information or nothing like that I can decipher as English. But my brain was shaking in my skull. I remember screaming, and no sound came out of my voice. Everybody's in the house. I had all my kids, 5 kids. My wife at the time was in the master bedroom, which was on the first floor behind the next room that I was in. Nobody heard anything. And just as quickly as it started, it stopped, and they turned around and they don't really walk. They kind of bounce. They bounced away and they went through the wall. The lights came back on. The TV came back. I ran around the house. It scared my whole family to the point where, one of my sons, my middle son, he still to this very day has PTSD and a little kind of terrified about it. He doesn't come visit much. He doesn't follow any of my material and things like that. It kind of really, unfortunately, kind of pushed him away. And then it was one of the catalysts that really led to my divorce in that relationship. So I got nothing good out of it. I made nothing out of it. That's why I never talked about it for so many years. But I came to the point where I realized that there's so much going on right now. And I'm not the only one who has had these types of experiences. And by keeping it a secret and locking it down and acting like it didn't happen is actually a disservice to a lot of people that's actually going through it, because I would get these messages and DMs and stuff like that. And a lot of people may think that they're crazy or had gone crazy, but I'm here to tell you, you're not, because we're just, I'm just one amongst millions of people that have had these kind of strange situations occur. So, thanks to Brother Rich for giving us the opportunity to put this information out there.
Definitely. Deep story. Wow. Doc, you could conclude this question, Doc.
Well, I had 3 incidents.
Yes.
One when I was 7 years of age. We struck up a conversation and I sat down with him and he gave me a book of notes of something that he was dealing with called blank slate technology. And this blank slate technology was dealing with I'm getting a feedback. There's some, yeah, I'm getting a feedback. Okay. Yeah. This blank slate technology was dealing with time travel and using the slipstreams in relative time distortions to be able to visit moments or periodicities in the stream of consciousness. And there was a man by the name of 15. They didn't have his name. They called him 15. And this man was dealing with something called the Labyrinth Group. And the Labyrinth Group essentially were dealing with something that the wing makers, and I don't know if anybody is familiar with this, but I was given this information long before it actually became popular in a lot of the communities, or a lot of the so-called societies, the New Age societies. And it was a regular, book with notes, handwritten. Some things were like newspaper clippings that were glued to it. I had it in one of my storages, and that's another story. But I got wind of the fact that there was entities that were living in the earth, not outside in and out of space. They were living in a other time stream, a slipstream. There's no outer space from what they said. There is a slipstream that deals with parallel resonances that we call dimensions, and that they slip in and out of it. And that this particular place that we are, this compressed place that we are, is almost like a prison where specific soul signatures are supposed to be working through or dislodging themselves from whatever it is that they were doing that kept them gravitated to third density. These people were coming from different densities. These entities lived in different densities. And when I asked him, I said, "Well, you talking about grays and all these?" He laughed. And he said the grays essentially are nothing more than entities that cloned themselves out of existence. So they could not procreate anymore, which is why you see a lot of them supposedly doing a lot of experimentations and so forth. But I was told these things, and I, discovered a few things. I was told a few things, and then I met a brother by the name of Riley Martin, who had heard some of my work and went to come to speak with me about his experiences with it, and came to find out that the book that he wrote, he gave to Steven Spielberg, and Steven Spielberg, out of his experiences, made Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So just to wrap it up, I don't want it to be too loquacious, just to let you know that I'm dealing with so-called extraterrestrial or interterrestrials as they come from inside of the Earth. These extraterrestrials are actually coming through slipstreams, dimensional slipstreams that exist on a flatted plane outside of it, and everything we're looking up at are gas pockets and gas movements. And we are going to come to a position where we learn it, how the slipstream works. But there are people here who don't want us to learn how to use that mental slipstream, because they've created something called a metaverse in order for us to use that same faculty of imagining. They're using the metaverse as a means of using a threshold signature energy to stop us from developing that technology and that technique. That's pretty much it.
Okay, so I seen a video from I've watched videos from Credo Mutwa throughout the years. I mean, since the earth over 10 years ago when he was speaking with David Icke. And one of the things Credo Mutwa talked about was that he's from South Africa, and he talked about the Nomo species. And he said that the Nomo taught his people about the mystery of the cosmos and the mystery of creation. And Credo Mutwa said that human beings were once the leading race in the galaxy. Now, when we think about extraterrestrials, we think about beings that are far superior, technology that we could never imagine. Credo Mutwa said we were once the leading race in the cosmos. So, not to say that he's right, but let's talk about that concept and just the whole. He said that this has been passed down generation after generation after generation from the Nomos communicating to his people. Now, maybe y'all could explain who the Nomos is to the family that's watching right now. But talk to me about that whole, what I just said about Credo Mutwa, starting out with Brother Yosef.
Yeah, the Nomo themselves. It's funny because I want to go deeper in that point. I'm so excited to talk about that. Me personally, I really believe not only are we in a hologram that we exist in, but we are also on a spaceship. I believe that this whole reality that we live in is actually on a spaceship, and the people that we, as far as Credo Mutwa are talking about us being original best race, or what did you say, brother? Something about
the leading race.
The leading race, us being the leading race, is that we are the ones that build the hologram. I believe us in our more exalted body and our higher selves created this to work out some type of, whether you want to call it karma or experience, and we are actually living this out. And like I said, I don't only believe that we live on this plane of existence, but this plane is a hologram, and we are actually generating this hologram inside of a spaceship. I believe the whole universe is inside of a spaceship, a cube spaceship, and we are generating this. So that's how I believe that the Nomo, those beings, are able to talk to us. We're talking to ourselves.
Mm.
Whether it's the Anunnaki, whether it's the Nomo people, or these grays, or whatever they are, we are talking to ourselves from outside the hologram. That's kind of how I look at it, family.
Mm.
And I'll let somebody else talk because I don't want to go into it too much.
Indeed.
Well, the Nomo were actually the fish people.
Mhm.
And these fish people supposedly understanding that, and that was another clue that gave me a chance to investigate how everything is actually waves, and these waves become water, that everything is water. The air you breathe is actually a qualified form of water. So, as far as who we were, and Credo was speaking about us being, the first, there was never a time that what we call man never was. There was never a time that this particular consciousness we call man never existed. So, therefore, we weren't slugs, we weren't fish, we weren't monkeys. That particular energy could never be, because the lowest doesn't create the highest,
Mhm.
the highest creates the lowest. So this whole thing about evolution is a farce, as to make sure that we do not assume the mantle of the Godhead that essentially belongs to this particular spark that animates this particular avatar we call man. So from this point forward, I teach that we are water breathers, and that everything being water condensed, that we are under a condensed hydrogen dome, because there's no way for you to keep an atmosphere unless that there is a closure. You cannot keep an atmosphere next to a what do you call it? The outer space being a vacuum. A vacuum cannot exist next to an atmosphere. So there has to be some form of encapsulation that allows for an atmosphere such as what we're breathing, which is qualified water, for us to exist. So while I say about the extraterrestrials are actually extra dimensional entities, the only way for them to actually traverse is to be able to know how to play with those molecules and the spin orientation of those particles, to be able to know how to dance in and out of them from one dimensional of solidity to another. So when we speak about extraterrestrials, we're saying extra land somewhere. Yes, there is. Beyond the Antarctica, there is billions of acreage of land that goes on forever. We are capsuled and we're trapped here at this particular point for whatever reason. That third density has become our prison, because we are locked down in light. We are only locked down in the white light spectrum. And the white light spectrum has 7 specific bands. That's our jail cell.
Mm.
Other bands are outside of that white light spectrum, and that's what we are supposed to have attained. And this is what they want to block us from with this so-called metaverse nonsense.
Mm. Uh, Rod Hayes, you're on mute. I can't hear you, Rod. Rod, I can't hear you, brother.
I say a
Yeah.
prism is a prison for light,
Mm.
right? So the brother was saying about being in a simulator, a holographic reality.
Mhm.
Mm.
And the elder is telling us about an encapsulation, right? So we have to look at it from the total creative construct, because first of all, we got to realize that our consciousness is projected into our body from outside our body from a remote location somewhere else.
Indeed.
This is proven by epigenetics, right? So where is this source at that is projecting consciousness into our physical frames, and how did it get here? So what is the physical frame? I was saying earlier is organic phalanx nanotech of an organic nature, made from the carbon of corn specifically, right? In order to harness the step down capacitor of mitochondria to be able to facilitate your spirit body, right? So then when we collectively look upon the reality around us, we are moving through the double slit experiment in real time. Tomorrow is not here because we haven't created it yet.
Mm.
And yesterday is gone because we already destroyed it. In the minds of the creator, we are in a perpetual state of evolution or revolution of the soul, where the soul is going through certain phases of adaptation to the surrounding environment. That lead me to believe that this is University Earth and we all students here, and that the school was hijacked by the bad students, and now they've turned the whole school into a prison.
Yeah, powerful stuff, man. There's a lot of great concepts and ideas here. That's why I love being on these kind of panels, because I love to hear and listen to other intellectual people, put out their information so that I can download some of that information to my brain too, And it's really interesting because as I, obviously you guys know I study a lot of ancient cultures from all around the world. Looking at the Aboriginal elders, I went out there to the middle of the outback in Australia, did a walkabout, went out there about 8 miles into those fires and everything, looking for artifacts with a group of elders and a guide, and a few guides actually. And while we were out there, we came across the Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs at Carryong 9. That was my main reason for going there. I want to document those glyphs before the fires got to them. Fortunately, the fires didn't get to the glyphs, but they did get to this other cave that we were headed to, which had about estimated 10,000-year-old cave paintings of UFOs and animals. And the animals were they looked like real animals. In other words, you could tell it was an animal, but you can see and you can tell what people were, but they drew something that didn't look like. They looked like technology, didn't look like an animal, and they were above them. So we wanted to get to that one, but that one got burnt, charred. But we did get to the Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs, which depicted on one side, the elders were saying that this was Pleiadian glyphs on one side, and on the other side, they were saying these were from the Egyptians and that from the land of Kemetic glyphs. And so they came over here, they were saying, for thousands of years to gain knowledge and wisdom from the Aboriginal elders. So we decided to take these glyphs and send them out to Egypt. Right? We documented them very well, sent them out to the Board of Antiquities, and they verified them as Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs. What does that mean? Proto-Egyptian hieroglyphs. These glyphs were Kemetic glyphs. They were Cometians. Cometians made those glyphs. People from the land of Kem, long before it was called Egypt. They had been coming over for thousands of years to get to break knowledge bread, so to speak, with these Aboriginal people. Now, what was interesting is that other side that they say were Pleiadian glyphs, nobody to date has been able to decipher these hieroglyphs. The Aboriginal says that these glyphs were made by people from the Pleiadian system, which is pretty interesting. And another thing is that we were able to date these glyphs because inside of all the carvings, there's something that grows called patina. This is organic material. And that patina grows at a very, very slow, calculable rate. So you're able to take a sample of that lining that's inside the crevice of the glyphs, and you can send it out to get dated, because organic material has a decay rate. It has an atomic decay rate, which can be measured over time. And so we sent that out to get tested, and come to find out that the patina is telling us that these glyphs were drawn and etched about 5,000 plus years ago. So these are real super deep antiquity ancient glyphs. And another thing that happened is they took us out into this other clearing in the outback where they have this hardened, dried, looked like maybe it used to be a riverbed at one point, but it had hardened and dried so hard. But in it was etched this giant etching of Thoth, the Atlantean priest king out of the land of Kem. Some you call him Dehudi, Jehudi, Tahuti, same person. The person that's on the front of my book, the Compendium of the Emerald Tablets. And he's on this object that looks like a elongated ship, and they have this swirl going around him, and the Aboriginals say that he's flying through the Milky Way galaxy. They call him Thoth Amabi in Australia. And again, the patina was sent out, and again, that's over 5,000 years old. So it's pretty interesting that we're dealing with a very ancient race of beings. And then the Aboriginals themselves, they say, well, we were seated here. This is their millennium old handed down version of history, that they were seated here and they were brought here by the Pleiadians. That's their handed down verbal history. And you get a similar story with the Zulu, who said they encountered the Nomo, and they claimed that they were seated. You get the similar story, and I've been to these places. You get the similar story with the Dogon tribe, who are the original inhabitants of the land of Kem. The Dogons were the original inhabitants of Kem. They lived there for thousands of years. They built a phenomenal, incredible, technologically advanced kingdom. And then much later, unfortunately, got overthrown. Kem was overthrown 7 times. People were in such a golden age and a state of bliss, meditation, arts, crafts, sciences, philosophy, and even until this day, they don't have a military or a police, but they have no crime. So when people say you have to have all this yin and yang to survive, no, they've proven that you don't have to have crime, you don't have to have prisons to keep a civilization moving forward. And so, but what happened at that time in the ancient times is people came across and realized that they were in this golden state age and they were in this bliss and they didn't have any protection. So they came overthrew them and pushed them out now where they live in Mali, Africa. They pushed them down to Mali and they took over the land. But needless to say, what's very interesting is according to these ancient cultures, according to the ancient Aboriginals, the elders going back into their ancient history, that they were brought here by Black people, which is pretty amazing. And I tend to believe personally that a lot of these craft and these UFOs that we see, a lot of the reasons why they have been trying to stay away from the topic so long and hide from it and act like they don't exist, and they're now finally starting to come out with it, but they want to say it's little green men and so forth. I think that a lot of these, not all of them, but a lot of them probably have Black people piloting these technologically advanced craft. And I do agree with Dr. Valentine in reference to the Greys that they are a genetically, created cybernetic type of an organism that is trying to seek some type of a way to merge with biological material to obtain some type of a soul for the purpose of attaining a soul. But it's such a phenomenal story. I mean, the real true story of what's happened on this planet and who we are and what's going on is far more greater than this mundane, boring, story that we've been fed. It's actually a real exciting story. The more you dig into it and the more you research and look at it and travel around the world and get the people who live in these places to tell you their version of the story, it's like, man, this is a real exciting place to be and an exciting time to be alive because we're getting all these deep secrets finally being revealed to us. And it's up to us now to put them together. So shout out to you, Brother Rich, for putting together a panel like this so that we can all kind of just bring forward what we do know, so we can try to help paint a picture for the people.
Indeed, this is truly an amazing conference. An amazing lecture tonight. We have over 6,000 people live right now. Over 6,000 people live. I want to give a shout out to Dr. Phil Valentine's webinar that he's happening on June 5th. I'm about to post a link. This is the gentleman. There's a lot of new people in here that's just getting hip to this information. There's different people of all different levels who's getting hip to this information. But this is the gentleman where a lot of information you're hearing and talking about right now, a lot of it, this brother has been talking about for many, many years. So make sure y'all attend this brother's workshop on June 5th. I'm going to post a link in the chat room right now. And while I get to the next question, I want to ask y'all, since I just said there's a lot of new people and old people in here, people that are just learning about extraterrestrials and metaphysics and science and this type of science, occult science, and there's advanced people. Let me ask you, what's the difference between extraterrestrials? Since we're talking about Black extraterrestrials, what's the difference between an extraterrestrial and a god? Because with all the Anunnaki talk going on, a lot of people say the ancients worship the Anunnakis as gods. What's the difference? Is there a difference between a god and an extraterrestrial? Talk to me about the difference between the two. 2 words.
Well, if I may.
Yes, sir.
We are the fallen gods.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no difference between us. The difference is conceptual and perceptual. We are trapped in third density. Those who operated as gods operated from 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 10th densities. The higher up you go in frequency and vibration, the less you need this flesh to operate in. So the container for the consciousness changes, it shifts. It no longer needs to kill in order to survive. It feeds directly off of the energy that the air gives to us, the sun gives to us, and so forth. And there is a whole other uh, kind of perception. There's more balanced perception of reality than we are. We are in we are dipolared right now because we operate in what we call two sexes. Um, we have latent aspects in us that we're supposed to resurrect spiritually. So as men, we are supposed to represent and resurrect the feminine energy, not to become female, but to represent the aspects that her dynamic represents in the flesh, and opposite to her as well. We are here as a lesson to balance our thoughts, which are creative instruments. We are here because our thoughts and how we created at the snap of a thought, we went rogue in the way we use thought. So we're trapped in our thoughts at this time. Therefore, we're trapped in time because thought is time. Time is thought. Time is the fifth element. Time essentially is necessary for matter to congeal, to come together. So everybody says that ether is the fifth element. It's not. Ether is an expression of time, and time is actually the fifth element. But we don't understand time because we look at it as something on our clock, on our watch. We look at it as the periodicity of the sun going around the circling the heavens above us. We look at light and dark and so forth. We're dealing with opposites. So that mentality is what keeps us trapped in time and therefore trapped in our thoughts, because our thoughts essentially again are creative instruments. So we're here to learn how to use that instrument properly. And we haven't been doing it. We've been using it to create weapons. We've been using it to create words that hurt. We're using it to enslave. We're using it to deal with what we call the ego. The ego is nothing more than the what we call free will gone rogue. There's no such thing as the ego. The ego is nothing more than free will gone rogue.
Wow.
And you have to understand that because that's what Freud created, along with Schopenhauer and the rest of these people, in order to keep us in check, the lower people that they believe. So if we were to contest with them, they'd then create this particular science to keep us in check. So there's no such thing as an ego. And I know that a lot of the ancestors and the people spoke about it, or they're interpreting that. But free will is the only thing that we use either against ourselves or for ourselves. And just to dovetail with my beloved brother, what I learned in Trinidad from the OBA and from a lot of my teachers like Krishnamurti and these other brothers and sisters I sat at the feet of, when they said that the Nomo and the Gigi and the people of the Dogon, they were dealing with star systems. Star systems were actually education systems for the root race that actually used it as the predominant lesson plan. So when people were saying, based on me and what I learned, that they came from star systems like the Sirius star system is where the Dogon are dealing from, or the Pleiades star system. These star systems are rotational aspects of the dome that different root races used when they were beaming or actually acclimating their mindset. Because if you look at the stars and you look at the brain when it's operating as an electrical instrument, you'll see it matches the same. And a lot of the electrical tendencies in the brain, you will see them match the stars in the sky. So a lot of the times we're not looking at the fact that the dome itself is like what you see those people put those brain things on there to map the brain.
Right, right.
Well, that's what the dome is. The
Damn.
dome is a light fixture
Mm.
that's supposed to feed us. So when we talk
Awesome.
about coming from different star systems, we're dealing with the star system that taught us a particular energy, a particular knowledge that gave us clues to our Godhead.
Mm. Yeah. So the rest of the panel, just to refresh the question, what's the difference between a god and What was the question?
Extraterrestrial.
Extraterrestrial. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
From the standard description that they give us a God, he not from here.
Mhm.
So if he ain't from here, he got to be extraterrestrial. If he's a meteorite and he fell to Earth, he's extraterrestrial. If he's a anatomic a figure like us and he came from somewhere else to here, he would be an extraterrestrial. So we have to determine exactly what the heck is a God and where did this come from. The concept, the whole concept has a agenda attached to it as a God concept. So to the biblical description of God is he alien because he in outer space looking down on Earth. So
Doc is enjoying this. Dr. Valentine is enjoying this. Right.
I like that. I really like that.
right. So if he don't live on Earth, he's outside of Earth watching Earth, seeing everything we do. That's what they teach.
Uh-huh.
He got to be an extraterrestrial with a telescope. A very, very, very high powered telescope at that. With strong listening equipment because he know everything we thinking. That means he got to be highly telepathic from outer space.
Yeah.
So what is we really talking about when we asking about the God? Right? We don't even know where we is. We looking up at the stars, trying to unravel the stars, and we ain't even unraveled our genetics yet. We don't even know the order of the councils that govern the earth. We too busy trying to go get a sip, hang out in the club, and wait for tomorrow to come as soon as we get narcotized from today.
Yeah.
Right? For a long time, I wouldn't talk about extraterrestrials or anything like that. And when people used to ask me, it wasn't that I didn't know answers. I used to tell them this. We got enough problems on Earth. Fuck them people up there. We got enough problems down here to deal with. When they get here, we'll deal with them. But if we don't solve the problems that we face with on the day-to-day here, we ain't gonna, they don't care about what we doing until we care about what we doing. So whoever they is up there that ain't down here yet is irrelevant to our, what are we doing on Earth? Right? We looking up or we bow down to pray. What the hell going on? We looking for a spaceship. We looking for some long hair hippie to come with the Philharmonic Orchestra surfing on a skateboard. So he gonna be an extraterrestrial because he ain't from here. But I got a spoiler alert. This the land of Tahuti over here. And if you ain't from here, you can't stay here. Thus saith Thoth, the Atlantean. If there is no more Dark Brotherhood, this gonna be the last time they get evicted.
Yeah.
The elder know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they know. They hear you.
Oh yeah.
So they know their time is up. They know that the guys walk among men. We just think they men. Because we so busy holding everybody else to a different standard, we can't see the greatness in the others around us. Because we don't even know where our own greatness lie. Right? So when they take the light lock off, the Pleiadian light lock off, and your psychic abilities start to come in, half of y'all gonna go crazy. We trying to tell y'all, clean your filters. You got to have your filters cleaned out, or the organism is not going to function to facilitate higher consciousness.
Indeed.
You're going to start having malfunctions. Get the heavy metals out, because when you start facilitating higher doses of mitochondrial electromagnetic frequency coming in from the other realms of existence, converging on you in the 3D to wake you up, if you haven't done these things, the basics of ascension, you're going to be stuck. You're going to keep having malfunctions. You're going to the doctor to get some stuff that he's going to give you to make you worse under the pretense of making you better. Because he know what you're dealing with and what you're going through, but he know that you don't know. Because you don't know yourself. So long as you don't know yourself, they going to play you like you are an imbecile in law and take charge of your affairs on your behalf without your consent because you're not competent.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So at this particular point in time, we come together, family members, on the land, from the land, to evict the imposters, the rogue elements, and all of those dark brothers who came over here to usurp the righteous. Time is up. Right? And every time we speak the truth like this, we got to have a competent witness.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Bill?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. You're on point, man. You're on point.
Yeah. So
You're
says
on
the
point.
SmackDown tablets.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
when I'm sitting here telling y'all what I'm telling y'all, if I'm telling y'all something wrong, I got Dr. Valentine up there. He gonna whoop me with the truth.
You got it, brother. You're doing a good job.
And Bill done sat with with Neil deGrasse and all of the so-called great minds of the day, so he know if I'm telling you some foolishness now, it can get sorted out.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Indeed.
You got brother Yosef over there with all that psychic ability, so that the human lie detector test is working.
The human lie detector test. That's a new one.
I love it.
Brother Yosef, the human lie.
I love it.
Oh, this is beautiful. You gotta love this. Man, it don't get no better than this.
Yeah.
Hey.
So this is the part of the game where we tell him to hootie back home. Boss back on the land.
Yeah.
Right? And all of the imposters have to go. They've been identified.
Yeah. Like, we've been knowing who they were. I mean, that's not even a secret anymore. Obviously. Yeah. But you're right, man. You hit it right on the head. You know, I have this saying, you know, that I put on the back of my first book, the version 1 of the compendium book, the brown one that I had before I turned to the green cover. And it says that men walk through time. You know, it says time walks through men, but God's walk through time is what it says. And so, like you say, we have to understand that, you know, the true gods are really already walking. We're already walking on this planet right now. And if you understand how a radio station works, a radio station could be in your town and it could broadcast out on multiple stations from that one location. That's how I liken the consciousness. There's one consciousness, but it's broadcasting out. I'm 99.2, Rod, you 99.3, exactly. Yosef, you 99.4, and Dr. Phil Valentine, you 99.5, and, you know, so forth and so on, right? So it's this one station, this one consciousness is broadcasting all these frequencies out, and then your avatar body is tuned to pick up a specific dot point on that point dot 1 or 2 or 3 on that frequency, and then that's your light being. That's a wave of light that inhabits the avatar body, allows you to animate it. But what really is happening is, like you were saying, our consciousness then is really being broadcast in from outside into this avatar body. And so the consciousness itself is God. And so all of us are walking with the God light inside of our bodies. We are literally God inhabiting an avatar body, walking around on this planet. And we're literally just walking unaware that we truly are God in a physical form. And the way that I see it is that God has literally, you know, matriculated itself into Googles, which is an actual, Google is a number. It's not a search engine. Google is a number. It's matriculated itself into Googles of entities throughout the entire universe. And it has literally discovered what it's like to be, you know, Brother Rich, Yosef, myself, Brad, Dr. Valentine. It wants to know from all different perspectives what it's like to be that, but still being really only one. Like I think it was Yosef, Brother Yosef said, when you're talking to somebody, you're really talking to yourself. And when you're talking to me, you're talking to yourself. There is only one consciousness, I believe, but it's been divided into Googles of entities. I think that consciousness even wants to know what it's like to be a blade of grass, even to be a rock, because through the double slit experiment, we discover that electrons, which orbit atoms, are conscious. They make a conscious decision to be a wave, or when an observer looks, collapses into a particle, a digital piece of information. So it makes a decision. Well, that means that everything is conscious. So it means that everything, even this microphone I'm talking to, has conscious electrons in it, which means this itself is actually conscious. So I believe that it's a data collection mission going on, because if you look at how the brain works, well, the brain is encased in darkness, and the brain, it doesn't really know what's going on the outside. What it says is to its friends, hey, friends, go out and find out what's going on for me. Bring me some data. So sight, taste, smell, touch, hearing, the five senses go out and they collect information. Now, the senses themselves, they themselves don't really know what they're collecting. They collect data. They send that data back to the brain. They say, hey, man, here's the information. The brain sorts it all out and then projects the hologram as to what's going on. And we navigate through this matrix based on a projected hologram from consciousness. And if you look at it as above, so below, and look at it on the higher realm, well, okay, since we're a fractal of the higher consciousness, then in my opinion, the main consciousness, the universal consciousness, is doing the same exact thing. We are the sensory perception, all the people. We are the sensory perception. Our avatar bodies are the sensory perception. It broadcasts itself into us. We then go out and we collect data. We live our lives. Through living our life in the third dimension, we're collecting information, right? And then we're transmitting back up to source that same information in real time. Because every thought we know is transmitted. We're sending and receiving information two-way, like Wi-Fi. And so I believe that the universal consciousness is actually collecting this data, collecting this information from every single entity throughout the entire universe. And so by that method, it's trying to figure out, what is it like to inhabit the third dimension? What is it like to learn and live through these lessons? What is it like to be Billy Carson and Brother Rich and everyone else? And so it's a pretty interesting concept. And it is for me, it is a concept. I'm basing it on my research. But if as above, so below is accurate, which is a Hermetic principle taught by Thoth Tahuti, then that would mean that what we're doing is just a fractal of what's happening on the higher side. So we are all literally walking gods.
That's a very good question. Just to double tail on it, well said. In our school, we teach that there are four elements, which add up to fire, air, water, and earth, which constitutes the WORD of God.
Mhm.
Those four elements are conscious as themselves. This is what we teach. They're not conscious of themselves until they consolidate into what we call man. It is through the avatar of man that these four principles, these four fundamental principles, the base of the pyramid of life, essentially becomes sight, sound, smell, and taste. That's when the fire, air, water, and earth becomes conscious of themselves. So yes, you're quite right. As the higher entity, consciousness itself, consciousness simply is. You cannot qualify consciousness. You cannot say this is consciousness or that is consciousness. Consciousness simply is. We are conscious within consciousness, and we seek to elevate our perceptual model of what consciousness is. But there is no qualifying or subtracting or taking pieces of consciousness. It simply is. And when we deal with consciousness and the four elements, fire, air, water, and earth, we say water being conscious as itself. How does it become conscious of itself? Well, all of the sea life that vibrates on different levels of intellect and consciousness is the water element expressing itself through that intelligence as consciousness.
Mhm.
What is it like to be air element?
Mhm.
Well, when those that fly in the air, those things that live in the air, things that are conscious of themselves as they fly or they traverse in the air, then the air element is conscious of itself through that particular mechanism of life. So all of the elements are essentially becoming conscious, and we, the four elements, sight, fire, hearing, air, taste, water, smell, earth. So the consciousness of what it is that constitutes the compression zone we call third density needs those four elements in order to to express itself in consciousness. So we are essentially dealing as conscious entities, fire, air, water, and earth. This place here, this thing called the upper room, which is where your brain is in the Bible, and the Jesus is the pineal, and the 12 signs, the 12 apostles are nothing more than the 12 cell salts dealing in the body that become the electrical fixtures that channel that electrical thing we call thought throughout the body and communicates with the cells in the mitochondria. But those four elements, as you were saying, my beloved brother Bill, that consciousness does essentially use us as feedback. We are avatars, and our particular reason to be is to experience the different grades of what that creator entity, that thing that is the unknowable. There's the known, the unknown, and the unknowable. We are participating in what we call the known. Our strive to know ourselves is us breaking the code of the unknown, and therefore, with us operating on those two levels, we are participating in the unknowable. So when the
Mm,
time comes for us to deal, we have to become more understanding and understanding of these four elements and how they keep us trapped in third density.
mhm,
How do we use them to operate our thought process, which keeps us trapped in the past? Because thought is past. There's no future thought. There's only
mm,
the past.
mm,
So my teacher taught me you have to get out of the past and come into the isness of being, the now time.
mm,
And that now time is the operating of these four principles in thought, which is understanding time. Time and thought work together.
mhm,
So
mhm,
when we work that out and we transcend time, we transcend the need to think, the need to feed on thought. It's like if you don't have anything to think about, people go crazy. Have you ever been on a in a room
mm,
in one of those sensory deprivation tanks?
mhm, mhm.
It's a horrific experience if you don't
I
know
heard
how
of
to do that because it takes away all your abilities to
yeah.
feed on something. And then your brain starts going back into past. It starts
Damn.
looking for chemistries to say, well, am I
Damn.
alive? Where is the input? Input, input. We're so
Mm,
accustomed to the cacophony of input that we don't deal with the silence. And that's what my lecture is going to be about. We are living in pulse intervals of
mm,
reality. What we have forgotten is how to look at the interval as the escape route.
mhm.
The pulse is the illusion.
Ooh.
We have to learn how to channel our understanding of how to localize our thought process, bring it heel, like we do a horse or an animal that we're breaking, and understand that that interval, that pulse, choom, choom, that our heartbeat is showing us, that heartbeat is what's keeping us here in third density. That's that 6-8. It's not a 4-4, it's a 6-8.
Mm,
So when you're dealing with that, and you have to understand how that comes about, once you understand the pulse intervals of reality, and you understand the stillness in the pulse, in the intervals of the pulse, then you understand the escape route. That's the Stargate.
man, oh my God, this show, oh my God, yo, family, this is amazing. This is amazing. It's Monday. It's Moon Day. It's Monday
Hey,
Moon Day.
I,
Good,
I
right?
wanted to touch on what Brother Billy
Yeah,
was saying. Like,
good.
he gave the description of the radio, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's tuned in to a different station. Okay. That means everybody got something different to say. Because one station country music, one station is rap music,
Mm-hmm.
one station is all news,
Mm-hmm.
one is talk history, right? But we got all of these different stations
I love it.
coming out from the central broadcast location,
Indeed.
right? So that means that whatever station you tune to, you the only person tuned to the station you tune to, unless you got somebody that vibrate on the exact same
Same
frequency as you,
frequency. Yeah, yeah,
Like everybody
right?
here.
yeah. Exactly, exactly, Doc. Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So now, when you look at what Dr. Valentine is saying about the senses,
Mm-hmm.
the body is just a rover, like the
Mm.
Mars rover.
Like the Mars rover.
And we project in here
Mm-hmm.
just like they put on those spacesuits to go in outer
Go
space.
exactly.
We
Yeah.
we put this physical flesh suit on in order to navigate the three-dimensional world around us.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we get tired of it and it wear out, we take it off
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
walk around without it
Mm.
until a suitable vessel come along that match up to the frequency and vibration of the very first one that came of you, and then you can get back in on that frequency.
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
That means that your radio station comes around periodically for you to come in and go out. Just like when you go through the tunnel, your radio cut out, but when you come out the other side, it come back on.
Yeah.
That's your life-death cycle,
Oh man, shit.
Yeah, that's
right?
I
it.
wanted to say something too, brother.
Good.
As far as talking about gods, right? I wanted to say something about gods. I do believe that there are false gods and true gods. And when you deal with a lot of extraterrestrials, a lot of them would being that they use technology to control weather and control different things like that. I deem them, a lot of them, false gods. But if you look at the term God, and the term God goes is a Germanic term, and it goes into deity, and deity comes from the root word deus, which means to shine, right? To shine. So when I understood that, my mind automatically went into, oh, okay, so I must become, in order to become like God, I must develop a new body, a shining body. And that's when I became obsessed with something called light body. And I believe that everybody who's watching this, and everybody who everyone on this panel everyone's watching has the ability to transform themselves into a higher consciousness of light. And as I did different practices, I've learned over time that humans, and it's been documented over 300, I believe over 300 cases of Tibetan monks turning themselves into bodies of light and turning themselves into gods, because a god is really one who is immortal, and he has a certain control over a certain aspect of nature or reality. You know what I mean? And when I learned about the immortal light body, it just blew me away. So one of the first experiences I had many years ago was when I was a janitor, many years ago on a roof, and I started working on my light body many years ago. And this is one of the experiences I had of actually a light being actually appearing to me. And I could take anybody to this roof. You can see the sun right there, and you can see a person who appeared in the picture. In my picture, you can see like he has a head, he has legs. And when I went home and looked at the picture again, I couldn't believe it, because when I snapped the picture, I actually saw somebody, like a 12-foot tall person, standing there. But as my eyes cleared up from the flash, I didn't see anything. So I have seen many evidences of us being gods and us tapping into our makaba, our higher vessels, and us transforming them vessels to transform. Because as I study spirituality, that's one of my goals, is to never come back, hop into my makaba and never come back and transform into light and transform into a higher consciousness. And that's something I teach on my Patreon, and we talk about on my Patreon. I have shown evidence of communicating with the sun and communicating with the clouds. And it's something that we all can do if we're gods, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what, in my mind, what gods are. You have control over a certain aspect of reality, and you're immortal. And I believe that a god is one that shines, a shiny one. I also wanted to say this real quick. To go into what we was talking about a little bit earlier, there's a book that just came out this month called The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Walls. Very, very interesting book. It was written in Spanish, but it just came out in English. The Navigator Who Crossed the Ice Walls. The World's Beyond Antarctica.
They publish it as a fiction, but that's supposed to be his true account.
Yes. And I'm halfway through it. I just started reading it. It's very fascinating. And they go in and talk about how the Anunnaki run all this. You know what I'm saying? How the Anunnaki pretty much running everything. And as far as I've gotten, and it's very interesting. They have the islands of Osiris, and and that's what got me thinking deeper about the dome or the hologram we live in, and how there could be multiple ones.
Yeah.
On different levels, like Dr. Phil was talking about, outside of this hologram, that just blew my mind. And I am an astral projector as a fourth dimensional consciousness. I can leave my body in my dreams and travel and stuff like that. And I have been to the other side in my experiences. And the first thing I remember when I went over there was that it was extremely hot. Like it felt like it was 200 degrees over there. And I remember seeing blue beings and green beings. I remember seeing high level technology, what we would consider flying cars and stuff like that. I didn't see no Anunnaki, but I'm pretty sure they over there, because I don't know the islands by heart or what it is. But I can tell people.
We had all that stuff here.
Yeah, right.
Look.
Exactly. And when I learned it, it really pissed me off, because I'm like, man, I can't believe that all this stuff is being hidden from us on this level. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it just broke my heart. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to share that with the family.
Thank you.
You guys might want to pick this up. It just came out this month.
All
I
right.
halfway through it. Pretty interesting book. I
Thank
wanted
you
to say
so
all that though,
much.
family.
Thank you so much, brother.
Mhm.
You know what I want to talk with y'all about real quick. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We have over 7,400 people in the buildings right now. There's over 7,400 live people in the building right now. And that's big because there's channels that spend millions of dollars to get 7,000 people in the building on a live stream. CNN, Fox News, they will spend millions of dollars to have 7,000 people live right now. And we're talking about spiritual information, and we have over 7,000 people live right now. So thank you to everybody who's tuned in, who's interested. And this is just further evidence of the age, the golden age that we are entering. I'm truly, truly appreciative to be a part of this process. One thing I want to talk about, this is one of the most important aspects of our transformation and us being who we are, whether we're black extraterrestrials, whoever we are. It's and Delbert Blair talked about this, and Delbert Blair inspired this interview. He talked about the concept of relative truth. Delbert Blair talked about how there's relative truth and there's absolute truth. And what I want to say is that a lot of us have experiences that a lot of us don't have experiences with, and it's individual. And when one person doesn't experience what another person experienced, we say that nigga lying. That nigga bullshitting. He's full of shit. He's this or that. And we're like, no, I'm not lying. I'm not bullshitting. Or I'm not this. Or we just see things from different perspectives a lot of times in this realm or this in reality. And we can't seem to get on the same page. And this is why I commended all of you brothers for getting on here with me today, because ego is a big thing. And ego knows, we just talked about the senses. Ego, the main thing about ego is the senses: sight, smell, touch, taste. If I don't see it, I don't smell it, I don't hear it, shit ain't real. But what if another brother smelled it? Oh, the shit ain't real. He smelled it. I didn't smell it, so it ain't real. So talk to me about, because it's easy to say, well, relative truth is real, but what about relative truth when it comes to history? Because we're all analyzing history for our people, but what about when it comes to relative truth and analyzing history? Now, does that same concept of relative truth apply when it comes to history, or when it comes to history, does it has to be absolute truth? Because all of you have a slightly different perspectives on history. So
Mm.
talk to me about the concept of relative truth and how it's going to advance our people.
Okay,
There's so
look,
many different relative truths.
look. We just talked about the radio stations
Yes,
and
sir.
different
Yeah,
content
yeah,
that
yeah.
come across radio stations. I can't see what Dr. Valentine see from how he see it. I don't think like him. I didn't have the same upbringing. The same with Brother Carson. I can't see. I can only go by the way he described his experiences. That gives me a glimpse through empathy to see what he's seeing. Right. So it's like a big puzzle, this game of life, and we all got a piece of it, right? And we all got to speak our truth so that we can put the truth together. When you talk about history, history is always written from somebody's perspective, which is somebody's angle. So if you don't know what the angle of them is, then you won't never be able to communicate with the information angel over the information. It's all about perception and the distillation of perception, right? Like, I can bring up certain stuff about the Anunnaki, and uh, Brother Carson can go all the way into it. Dr. Valentine can go all the way into a lot of the metaphysics that I might bring up, but I might not go into as much detail because that might not be my main field of study. But I still have a perspective, just like they all have a perspective. When we come together on a harmony note, this is what we doing now. There ain't no big eyes, no little U's. We all bringing what we have to the table, cut this piece of pie up. You get a piece of chicken, pass me the biscuits. I'm going to get some of the mashed potatoes over there, and we going to put this meal together, and we going to all eat in the end. That's the ultimate goal of us being here, learning how to work with each other by individually first working through our own cycles of karma, right? So this is the perspectives are necessary in order to have more than one set of eyes on the same problem, because everybody not going to see the same thing, just like everybody can't have the same job.
Mhm. Well,
Excellent.
if I may, to me, relative truth is the accepted truth. Relative truth is the matter of fact reality that's created by a consensus reality. The reality, or what we call relative truth, essentially comes from indoctrination, acculturation. So we say that we call this thing that flies across the air a bird. That's a relative truth. Why? Because the language fixates that particular truth. I look for reality. Once the reality cycles upon itself over a dozen times and continues to do the same thing each time, then that would be a truth. As far as reality is concerned, there is this indoctrinational reality that we have, where we have, you say that there's relative truth versus absolute truth. Absolute truth is fixed into the unknowable, the unattainable, because we are here in a place dealing with dichotomies. So we'll never get the absolute truth in the particular housing that we're dealing with, which is why the Creator created itself. It created us to be feedback mechanisms for the examination of absolute truth by, distilling it into what we call creation, the unbalancing itself, because it couldn't create outside itself. We have this misnomer that creation is something that was done outside of God, and He put it outside. No, creation was a subtraction. It was a distillation. It's a condensation within. It's not something. There's no outside to the Creator. So what we're doing is relative. What we're talking about, relative truth versus absolute truth. Absolute truth right now in this particular framework is unattainable. So what we do is we do the best with the experiential models that we are operating in this school. We then create certain realities based upon what the body feels comfortable with, what the mind feels at peace with, and then we call certain things that either harm us or benefit us, and we operate along those lines. We call that, yeah, that's the truth. So some people have experiences that align with other people. So you say, yeah, brother, speaking the truth. Well, other people's, as my brother said, no, I may have a completely different reality. Then we're not talking about truth. Then we're talking about an ongoing procession of experiences that we can see if we could link or somehow consolidate or somehow meet at the same line of perception and say, yes, I had the same experience. Therefore, to both of us, that's a truth. But to say whether we have relative truth versus absolute truth, relative truth is the only absolute truth that we have right now as we are operating here. So we can't say we know what absolute truth is. We can only know what absolute truth is as it expresses itself through the relativity of our own inability to know what absolute truth is.
Indeed. Anybody want to add on to that?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because it's such a deep topic. It's a deep subject because, like I try to say, we all have a piece to the puzzle. And by that method, we then can create a masterpiece. And we're just trying to paint this picture. I remember when I was a kid, video games and all that stuff didn't exist yet. And so we would get these puzzles from Kmart. And these puzzles would be like these oil paintings. And we'd take them and break them into pieces and, mix them all up. And then the challenge was to put, this 1,000 piece puzzle together. And we spent the next 3 weeks, myself and my brothers and sister, trying to put this puzzle back together so we can see this beautiful painting. And then we would take that created puzzle and we would try to put some wax across the top of it so it would stay together and make it into like something you can possibly hang on the wall or whatever. And but through that method, I learned a lesson. I learned that we all have a piece that I thought my sister would find that piece, and she would go, "Oh no, it goes right here." And it's like, "Oh," and then the painting becomes more and more clear. And as these different pieces come together, all of a sudden, eventually, you have a masterpiece. And so that's what's important about like talks like this, panel discussions like this, and other panel discussions that I've been on, because there are these different perspectives. We all have different contexts. I grew up in different situations than everyone else on this panel, and so did and vice versa. And we all learn slightly different ways and different techniques and methods on how we came to where we are right now. But there's something so vital about each and every single one of the pieces of information that we bring to the table that it's helping to paint a picture. And the most important thing is that we drop ego, because not because we all have to be yes men and agree with every single thing, but it's because there's always something that you can gain, something you can learn from everyone's piece. And that's something that I learned a long time ago. And the moment that you think you know everything, you've got yourself fooled, because this is a never-ending journey of learning. And so you have to become a master at taking information from everyone. Now, people say, well, why do you read the Bible? Because the Bible has important information in it. Why do you read the Quran? It has important information in it. Why do you read the Sumerian tablet? Important information is in the Sumerian tablet. So I want it all. I want all the information, all the knowledge. I want to talk to every single person I could possibly talk to. I want to talk to all the elders. I want to talk to everyone. Because why? Because I'm gaining pieces of the puzzle, and it's giving me a bigger and bigger perspective. And the longer I go doing this, the bigger and more broader my perspective has become. So it's really important.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I just wanted to say this, for many years, me living in upstate New York, I never had the opportunity to go to a lot of lectures and stuff like that. But one particular year, Dr. Delbert Blair came to my city, and he told me the words out of his mouth. Because I asked him, I didn't know. I said, what really is the truth? And he said, there's no truth until you decide what the truth is. So I've heard him say that many times in his videos. And I was just telling Dr. Phil before we started this how he pretty much is the reason why I pretty much left the church. And I talked about his video called Vampires of Consciousness, and he dropped so much information in there. And when he dropped that information, I didn't have to accept that as truth, but a part of me did. And it put pieces of the puzzle together for me that allowed me to take my consciousness to the next level, and all he could do was provide the information. So I took what he gave and applied it and researched it for myself. And I said, yeah. And like I told him, I said, I went to go tell the pastor the next day, I'm out. I got my truth now. I have my truth. So even with experiences and spiritual experiences and different things like that, all I can do is say, hey, brother, sister, this is how I got here. Let me give you the tools you need, and you can try it for yourself and make it your truth if that's what you choose. And that's how I'll challenge everybody who's watching this on here to all the people that's watching us to take what we say today and apply any methods that we have as far as channeling, as far as history, as far as information, and you can make it your truth or not. It's up to you. So like the great Dr. Blair said, it's all about deciding what the truth is based on what you perceive it as. There's no truth until you decide what it is. So I just wanted to say that.
It's interesting. Just one final word, if I may. It's interesting that each one here on the day has said about truth. It seems that truth is removing whatever illusions that you've been living based on someone else's counsel. And based on what Brother Yosef was saying, I lived as a Catholic when I was very young.
Me too.
Yeah, and was came up under very strict rulers and regulations. That was my truth at that time. But then when I began to find out as I grew older that my truth was based upon my own perception of what truth was to me, then I began to actually disengage myself or to jettison certain things that other people assigned to me to do and to follow. And so I estranged myself from that to find myself. And when I found myself, I found that truth was what it is that I had to learn through my own experiences. And whatever it is that I felt, whatever pain based on my mistakes I felt, all of those became categorized under what was true for me. The thing is that we have people out there with enough resources and money and brutality to force you into a truth and to create a kind of psychotic patriotism. And I don't mean that in the sense of country and so forth. I mean that in the way that we live,
Yes, sir.
we
Yeah.
do have our being.
Yeah.
And we have to estrange ourselves from that, which we're doing right now. Because to tell me the truth right now, if you're talking Anunnaki, they're sitting right here
Mm.
at this particular time. And if they're not here in the flesh, which I believe they are right now, they're there in the spirit watching this and giving, affirming exactly what's going on right now. But for me, I began to distill myself and the search for truth within, because the path must always lead within, is a distillation process. It's a removal. It's an alchemic process where you remove the lead in order to find the gold. And that's exactly what we're doing and what I know each one of you all are doing to teach.
Indeed, I want to thank all of you for sharing your perspective on
Yeah.
that right there. I mean, this is an amazing show. I'm truly appreciative. I mean, the chat is absolutely booming. We got almost 8,000 people in the
Wow.
Good.
building. Uh, what I want to talk about now is the concept of interdimensional travel.
Mhm.
I seen I've seen several documentaries on uh folks going in trance, and I've heard stories of folk going in trance and traveling
Mhm.
to different dimensions or different spaces or different places, just based off of trance. They
Mhm.
they especially the History Channel had this got this YouTube video about a South African tribe called the Sands people,
Mhm.
where they go into trance and they travel to different places
Wow.
and they come back with information, and that's interdimensional travel. And you got Elon Musk, who talks about traveling to Mars on physical spaceships. And one of the things we do as human beings, we have this thing where we do either or. Either this is good or either this is bad. So we do either or, but we don't really do both of them could be useful. So I want to talk to you about interdimensional travel versus physical spaceships, because some people say you could travel to Mars interdimensionally through your mind, because the mind is all. I could go to Mars, Jupiter, to the sun. I could go to the sun. I go anywhere from my mind. And some people say, yo, you got to have a spaceship to go to Saturn. Saturn is popping, whatever. So talk to me about interdimensional versus having physical objects. And it doesn't have to be either or. Just talk to me about that concept.
You mentioned the sign
Yes.
people going into trance.
Yes, sir.
Earlier, we went over. Me and Billy touched on the consciousness being projected into the body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, so the body is not who you are.
Mm-hmm.
The body is a suit you wear.
Okay.
When the
Mm-hmm.
body is in a catatonic state, the real you is not restricted when it's aware that there's no restriction.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Restriction is a self-imposed prison
Mm-hmm.
created by misinformation and deliberate miseducation in order to trap our minds into a mental prison so that our energies can be exploited for the wealth of a small fraction of the people on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
The mind is not restricted by the body.
Mm-hmm.
The mind can do stuff that you have no idea yet because it's all been erased from your consciousness using nefarious means by people that's in we call the controlling elite. They use technology and they use science and they use spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier, Dr. Valentine said he grew up a devout Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
right? And people ask Billy Carson, why do he read the Bible? You
Mm-hmm.
need to read the Bible because that's the gun that your spirituality is the bullet that's going in your brain while you slowly commit spiritual suicide. Right? So you need to be familiar with the weapon so you can dismantle the tool of your self-destruction. They didn't bring us that to uplift us. They brought it to enslave us. Right? They needed a backstory, so they created the Torah. They needed to figure out a way to get rebellious people to conform, so they wrote a Quran. The same people wrote all that. And all of those were, they no different from those books than the shackles. The only difference is with the books put the shackle on your brain to make you think that you're not capable of doing what your mind is capable of doing. The first order of business is when you're researching anything, don't take sides in the information. Because soon as you take sides, you obscure your vision. Right? So we're talking about the relative truth. Everybody is telling it from their angle. Remember the movie Malcolm X, and my man was trying to tell you about the words, and Malcolm was like, "What's your angle, nigga?"
Yeah.
Everybody is telling the story from an angle. We all know these maxims.
Yes,
we
sir.
all know that history is a lie agreed upon. We've all heard it, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we also heard that history is written by the victors, right? How are they going to write the history? How are they going to weaponize the history in order to subjugate the people that they intend to oppress? Everything they did been weaponized against us. Spiritually, they use religion as the weapon of the destruction of the people who are highly spiritual by nature. It's designed to specifically stir up the spiritual people and make them believe that they localized spiritual acknowledgement or what's in their genetic memory, the pieces of their story that's been twisted out of position in order to lure their genetic memory in so they can really think this is the real story when it's not the story. That's not the holy drama, right? And that's what it's supposed to be. But it's not, because it's been altered, twisted, and used as a tool of, it was weaponized in Rome. Constantine needed something to control the masses of the people. So he created Christianity in 325 AD, Nicene Council. It's no secret. We all know this, right? So all of the mind is not restricted, but the mind can become restricted, becoming complacent without challenging the narrative imposed upon us by an oppressive ideology that's being designed to weaponize every aspect of who we are against us. Right? So the brother Yosef was talking about the light body. If you take the light body out of the physical body, the presumption is death. It got an exact weight. Right? Science know the weight, how much it weighs. The light body can leave the physical body. You ain't dead. You just going on to another form of exploration with your higher consciousness, because there's other stuff going on besides what we see in our day-to-day life, and we can't navigate most of it by being consumed with what's in our day-to-day life. So life have a way of putting us in catatonic states in order for us to experience other things in other dimensions so that we can have higher consciousness in the 3D.
Yeah, that's the weight that you're talking about is 21 grams. When someone passes, they lose 21 grams of weight. That's the spirit leaving the body. As far as dimensional is concerned, you said it very well. If you're dealing with the question again, what was the question again, brother Rich, that you wanted us to answer?
Man, I don't even
travel through dimensions.
Right. I just wanted to bring us back to that situation. As far as traveling to other dimensions, we do that all the time when we go to sleep, when we dream. We can leave our bodies. We are not the bodies, as we know. We're just simply occupying an avatar. And death is a withdrawal of that projection back to its source. So when we're talking about traveling to other dimensions, if you're talking about doing it physically, then you're talking about deatomizing your particular spin of the atom of the particle spin that keeps you consolidated to third density. That changes. So once you and that has to do with light. And once you understand that the ancestors did that, they left through certain portals that dealt with angles of light, just like angels are angles and angles are actually angels. So what you're dealing with is that 90-degree arc that you see in ancient Kemet. Sometimes you see the so-called hieroglyphics of the different figurines walking along or aimed at one position, and then all of a sudden, at 90 degrees or 60 degrees, you see them walking up in the same way. Well, it was showing you through that particular glyph the pathway out of this particular third density construct. So light and the changing of the photon waves, as well as, because remember, we're if you were to take away all of what we are, we just come down to a few ounces of minerals. That every atom that we have is pretty much the size of a universe from the sun and so forth. So every atom is separate. We're pretty much air. We're
Mm,
pretty much nothing much. Everything is we're so deconsolidated. It is the agreement that we've made to consolidate ourselves, that these atoms are coming together in order to consolidate around the spark that is being projected. Once we understand how to remove ourselves from the mental structure, and again, that has to do with thought. You have to remember that thought is what keeps us fixed in this reality because it
mm,
keeps us trapped in time. Time is what keeps us relegated to having to keep the brain. See, the brain needs to keep operating because we become addicted to input. That addiction to input and to the feeling of the release of different hormones and endorphins that the body gives us, the body keeps telling us, please keep giving me this feeling so that I feel. The body knows that it's temporal. The body knows that it will not exist beyond a certain time. So it has its own consciousness and it always wants us to keep addicted to itself. And the great yogis are the ones that transit out of this addiction. And Buddha himself said, the real problem with us is our addiction to sensation.
mm, mm,
We keep coming back. That's the signature that is on the soul that keeps
mm,
us coming gravitated back to the physical realm.
mm,
That's why a lot of the ancestors back in the day, some people say, well, what about the people who are homeless? This guy's sitting on the streets. He doesn't care about anything. He's filthy. That man is transiting it out. He's not giving a damn about staying here, getting ready, how he smells under his armpits, or nothing like that. The physical body to those people no longer have a precedent. He's resigned to that. He's not coming back. Why would he want to come back? Because he's left any need to actually bring him or gravitate him back. So until we release ourselves from the addiction of this, having to feel this and having to know what this is about and having to have sex and having to feed and all of that, those are all addictions. Those are all secondhand addictions that we developed after we fell from a higher plane of existence, after we began to take on a dual body. We were asexual because we did not have to deal with sex. We didn't have a sexual energy. We weren't separate in the polarity. It's when we fell, that fall of man they talk about. And you notice how the fall of man happened? Fall of man. Have you ever seen what fall looks like? What happens to the leaves? What colors do they change into?
brown, brown,
Right.
brown,
Okay,
yeah,
well, look at us.
brown.
We've fallen. We've
Brown.
fallen hard, and we are now um, we don't activate prismatic melanin anymore. You see, I came from a mixture of 10,000 different so-called racial species. but prismatic melanin, you could see it on the brothers and sisters from Senegal. They are so black that they shine a specific color. They shine blue and purple and so forth. That's what I call prismatic melanin. And you can tell what they're feeling. That's how we used to communicate with one another. We used to change colors. There used to be a name for us. We were called Saptapana, the man plant, because we did not need to eat. The sun was our only food. The sun take away our breathing, we die in 5 minutes. Stop
See,
eating for 40 days, you're fine. Stop drinking for 7, you're fine. The most important thing we do is breathe. We are the breath of life.
And
So
Dr. Valentine, I told somebody that and they told me I was crazy.
of course they're gonna tell you crazy because it's facts.
I'm over here listening to you tell them that we organic, we spring out the ground like the plants,
Hmm.
and we process the photosynthesis like the plants.
Yes,
The
and
only thing is that in the fall, the copper substituted the magnesium.
yes, and the
So
magnesium is
now
no longer trapped in our cells. The hemoglobin and the magnesium. See, you got it. The magnesium no longer is trapped within there, so we no longer colored green. Like a carrot. So we no longer can produce photosynthesis. The magnesium molecule, that's what caused the fall. Because we were all green, we have a deeper green. It was not the green like my beloved brother Carson got on there. I'm talking about a deep prismatic melanin that hued green. Because the people that were the blackest of the black were in actually, they were not in the sun. They were actually in a rainforest. That's where we found first man. So where was the sun then? And he was coal black, radiating
damn,
energies. It's
damn.
ridiculous the way they keep telling us about this Neanderthal who came out of the Levant. He's the one who twisted all the knowledge. But as I'm
look,
saying, that
so
prismatic melanin is
the
what we use to interface with the sun, because you see, when we breathe in, we are breathing in the plasma that the sun gives. That's why they have to constantly have to do that destroying
chemtrail.
chemtrails, because
Right, right, right.
the sun is a programmer that is giving us certain information through light that's supposed to encode with us. That's what I call, that's my first lecture was called the light code transmissions. And it's about the sun being a computer, the motherboard that
Mm-hmm.
gives us the instructions for this time zone, this consciousness time zone. And
Mm-hmm.
we're supposed to be breathing in the information as food, so that
Mm-hmm.
that's why people of your hue and you're the beautiful darker you are, the more sun you need. They're keeping you out the sun, but this sun is not no longer a real sun. That's why the Chinese put up an artificial sun. Why you think they're putting up an artificial sun? To circumvent the message and the information that the organic sun is supposed to give you. And it ain't 92 million miles away. It's only about 5,000 miles above us. Because every time, if they're talking this nonsense about the fact that we why is it that the closer we get to the so-called dome, it gets colder, and the further away from the sun, it gets hotter? When you go into Death Valley, the reason why it's hotter is because it's there radiating the sun is not it doesn't give off fire, it irradiates the atmosphere.
That's
It's
the
an irradiator. It's not doesn't give, it's irradiating the water that we call the atmosphere, and that's what we feel as heat. There is no sun 92 million miles away. That's bullshit. That's them. That's the Vatican telling you that bullshit. Don't play the game where they're telling you that the earth is round and we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and we're flying around the sun at 66,000 miles an hour. We out of our minds if we really believe that. But they put
Wow.
them orbs in the school for our children to identify with. So
I wanna talk to y'all about,
mhm.
because we don't have I don't want to keep y'all too long tonight.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody. Like, this is amazing. Right now we have over 8,000 people live listening to a metaphysical conversation on a Monday night. So I want to thank all 8,000 of y'all for listening. The brother Phil Valentine, who just spoke, has a webinar coming up. I want all y'all to join it. It's an amazing webinar. Uh I'm putting it on the screen, and I'm also putting the link in the description before I get to the next question. So make sure you support the brother. The brother has an amazing workshop webinar coming up. Make sure you support the brother, Dr. Phil Valentine. A lot of y'all are new. Some of y'all have heard of him before. So the brother's awesome, and he's been speaking this information for over 30 years. So make sure you support the brother and research him. See what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying, family? All right. So with that being said, what I want to talk to y'all about. Wow, this is, I mean, it's so many people here. It's been
Hey,
such
hey,
a,
brother Rich, gotta say
yeah,
something about
yeah,
what Dr.
go ahead,
Phil
Rod,
just
go ahead,
said.
Rod Hayes. Yeah, go ahead.
So the Dr. Carson knows something about this. The photo, the famous picture of Akhenaten and his family with the hands coming from the sun.
From the sun. Yeah.
Right. That's the information. So the way I like to say it, Dr. Valentine, is the angels of light is information that comes in on angles of light. Right. So I go to the doc to meditate because when the angles of light hit the water become the amplifier for the spiritual input, and then I can become the perfect receiver on the waterfront.
Ooh.
Excellent.
And
Yeah.
that's why the Oshun ceremonies is always around the fresh water.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
And they wear the white.
and that's why I taught sun gazing back
Yep.
in 1989.
Ooh.
I want to say this real quick too, brother Rich.
Yeah,
There's a
please.
guy named Elia Atamin, I believe his name is, and
Mhm.
this brother has not eaten food for 19 years.
Mm.
He literally, you can look him up on YouTube. Just type in "man who hasn't drinking water, eating food for 19 years." It's a black guy.
Oh,
I
black
believe
brother. I know you talking about. I know you talking about.
Yeah,
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 he's
he's
a
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
breatharian.
He's a Morris brother, and this brother ain't eat food for 19 years and barely drinks water like once a week, and he
Mm.
lives off the sun.
Mm.
So yeah, everything y'all saying 100% true.
Mm.
There's a story that Paramahansa Yogananda wrote about the lady saint who never eats, and she was talking about how she don't have an appetite because she had talked to the creator to take her appetite away. She didn't want to eat no more, but
Mm.
she cook all the time, but she feed off the prana.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, prana. Prana
Right. So
is
when he
Well,
was writing this story. She had been without eating any physical food for, I think he said, for like 50 years.
wow.
I remember that. Yes.
Wow. Well, let me ask y'all about this. So, um, they say as above, so below. We talk a lot about Tahuti. Tahuti is like a main topic of conversation, the Hermetic text, and they say as above, so below. And we study ancient Egypt, and we see the lion head on the Sphinx. So we also see the lion head of the Sphinx. We know about the Lion's Gate. If you're in the spirituality in August, and they say those are the dog days of August, and you know about the Lion's Gate portal on 8/8, on August 8th, 8/8, that's the Lion's Gate portal. And you also know just about the lion being the king of the jungle. You saying as above, so below. The cosmos, if the lion, the mythology,
Well, one thing
the
different
energy
about
signature of the lion is the king of the jungle on earth, then it must be the king of the cosmos. So talk to me about this energy signature of the lion. If it's the king of the jungle on the earth and all these symbols, the lion's gate, the sphinx, how important is the lion in the cosmos and what does that mean to us?
so that's a zoo type. So in our cultures that predate religion, and we used to use totem animals.
Yes, sir.
Totem animals represent and deliver more information and seeing the form that the statuary is in
Mhm.
than you would get normally. First of
Mm.
all, the Sphinx is a female.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Let's
Mhm.
get that out the gate right now.
Okay.
The
Yes, sir.
Sphinx was never a man.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't the Khufu, Khafre, or none of them.
Okay.
All right. And the three great pyramids symbolizes Orion's belt. So they was making heaven on earth as above, so below. But all of that over there was just setting up the mirrors for what we call galactic time travel,
Mm. Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So the lion is significant because of its characteristics as the zoo type.
Mm-hmm.
And normally people who have affinity for cats born under the Leo have more of the traits of the totem of the lion,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the totem animal is different from east to west. Because in Asia, they don't use the same zootypical zodiac wheel that we get from Egypt or Rome or Greece. They got a whole different system,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? But they still use family totems as the zoo types to represent the energy from the stars that's influencing the part of the earth at that particular time,
Facts. Okay.
right? So the energy, whether the stars is up there or not, whether they holographic projections or not, they are markers to read the time frame because time is fluid
Mm.
and malleable.
Mm.
If you can read what's taking place in the stars and match it to what's happening on the ground, it tells a whole different story than a history book,
Mm.
right? So
Mm.
this is why they say as above, so below. The
Mm.
great navigators on the ocean, they didn't have a road map. They on the water. They had a star map. So it's just like when they brought Columbus over here, talking about he was going to India when it wasn't no country called India yet,
Mm.
right? And he had a navigator named Pedro del Negro that showed him where to go. He was using the stars as a map. He was a navigator with experience on what they called the high seas.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can read what's going on the earth and you can read the stars, right, you can see things from a different angle than 99.9% of the population because
Mm.
your perception, once this get altered for the better, it can't go back.
Mm-hmm.
Once you learn something, you can't unlearn it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't unlearn it. And then if it stands the test of time, right, and it finds a slot in your permanent psyche as a valid piece of information, right,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to hold on to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to become manifest in your personality and your character over time,
Indeed. No
right? So
facts.
that's why
Yeah.
they say leaders are readers,
Yes, sir.
right? Because they're constantly expanding the mind outside the box with
Yeah.
different paradigms and different perspectives of information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this is how we get to see straight
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
instead of upside down and backwards, right?
Yes, sir.
Because this is all part of us learning how to process, right? We didn't come in here with a rule book. No baby was born, and when he popped out his mama, they gave him a book and said, "This is how you live life,"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So just like we have to learn how to read the influence of the stars on Earth,
Mm-hmm.
we still have to learn how to navigate Earth as if we was one of the stars navigating the sky, as above, so below,
Mm-hmm.
as
Indeed.
within, so without.
Indeed.
Right? So when you're talking about the yellow brick road finding the gold, that's your golden heart,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's
Cool.
the most sacred thing you have is your golden heart,
Mm-hmm.
right? So those are the things that's going to shine through your ego self with your artificial construct that everybody around you from the time you was a baby told you was versus who you came to know who you are.
Mm.
Once you
Facts.
understand who you are without all of the stuff they told you, you wasn't smart enough, you wasn't tall enough, you wasn't strong enough, you know, you was a little different, a little weird. That boy
Mm-hmm.
over there, nappy head
Mm-hmm.
one, the raisin head boy, all them kind of things. But then all of that stuff is going into molding your character to help you overcome the artificial construct of who these people are telling you you should be.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you talk about God form humans, the only way you can reach your God form is if nothing human can affect you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That means that you've outgrown the humanistic desires of the flesh, and now you can really start doing some work on earth.
Mm. Indeed.
Yeah.
But before we continue, I know my brother Billy Carson has to go. So I want to allow you to say your last thoughts before you get out of here, my brother. We're actually winding down. We don't have no more than 20 minutes here on
Hmm.
the actual broadcast, but I want to allow Billy to finish it off before we continue, my brother. Billy, go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate it. First of all, thank you to everyone on this panel, man. Every single one of y'all gentlemen are incredible, and I appreciate every single one of y'all. Um, you're talking about the archetype of the lion, Leo,
Mm-hmm.
and how it
Mm-hmm.
matches, like the brother was saying, as above, so below. And when
Mm-hmm.
you look at, what's associated with the lion, what is associated with that, what aspects, what's in terms of like accolades or what you can be about. You look at the lion as historically being like, valor, courage, nobility, royalty, strength, and also is considered the king of the beasts, right? And so if you look at the perspective, as if you look in the ancient texts or the Emerald Tablets, Thoth claimed to have built the Great Pyramid. Not that he built it with his own hands, but he probably was the master architect. And I'm assuming that it doesn't say this, but I'm just assuming that he had something to do with that Sphinx as well, since it's on the Giza Plateau and it's so incredibly designed. And he talks about the Dark Brothers, and the Dark Brothers could be the beast, and we're supposed to become kings of those beasts. So there's all these different things that you can look at. We know that the Sphinx is facing a constellation of Leo, where it was in the sky 2 processional periods back. So if you look at the constellation, if you look at the alignment 1 processional period back, you go back to 13,000 years ago. That's the Ice Age, not the perfect time to build a great Sphinx. If you then take it, okay, well, look at the weathering on that Sphinx, and you realize that, because I've been in the Sphinx enclosure, I've actually stood and touched the actual body of the Sphinx. You see some of the pictures on my Instagram account and everything else. I've been in between the paws and inside the Sphinx and everything else. But you can see the weathering pattern. The weathering pattern is for millennia. That place was flooded at one point. That Sphinx was totally submerged. And if you take the hypothesis of that, the time it would take to erode the rock that way, and you go back 2 processional periods back, because 1 more processional period back, that is the rotation of the alignment of the constellation in the sky. You go 1 more back before the Ice Age, you get to a point where we have the Quaternion extinctions, and those extinctions were brutal. Not another good time to build a Sphinx. So you go 1 more back. Now you're right at 36,000 years, the same time that Thoth claimed to have written the Emerald Tablets and potentially built the Great Pyramid around that time frame. So it matches with that, and that alignment with the constellation of Leo would be perfect around that date. So we're talking about deep antiquity. We're talking about ancient knowledge, ancient mysteries, and that alignment is specific and is very, very important because we know that the shafts in the Great Pyramid align with these different constellations at different periods and different times throughout the millennia. And there's a reason for that. They're trying to send us a message, and they're trying to tell us something. The true understanding of exactly what they're trying to do, and maybe if they're even trying to communicate with other people, maybe at those points, at those 0 points, or whatever you want to call it, that's still a question mark. But I do believe that there's a message there in the fact that they chose the body of a lion, or in a case like the brother said, maybe even a lioness. Those are the ones that do the hunting anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, what is the message here? Is it that we're supposed to become kings of the beast? Are we supposed to come together and then overthrow this oligarchical ruling elite that has subjugated us and imprisoned us and mentally enslaved us over eons, and take back control of this planet? I mean, there's something there with that. I mean, it's something really, really deep. And I just want to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to be on this panel and break conscious bread with you and give some of my insights as well.
Indeed. So Billy, you got to go now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I gotta
Okay.
go. I have to go on a show right now. I'm going to get ready to go do a pre-recorded podcast that's going to go on Coast to Coast AM next week.
Okay, so
Yeah,
Billy, I want to thank you for joining us, and we're gonna continue. We ain't got much longer,
yeah.
but I want to thank you, Billy, for joining us tonight. I know you're extremely busy, so thank you for just participating in
Amen.
this discussion tonight, my brother Billy
Yeah,
Carson. Everybody, give Billy Carson a shout out in the chat room. My brother's
Man,
will do.
extremely busy.
I enjoyed you, Bill.
Yeah,
Hey man,
yeah,
we got to all do this again. I appreciate it. This was great,
It's
fantastic.
a
Beautiful,
blessing.
beautiful,
yeah.
Yeah,
This
beautiful.
is
Absolutely,
this,
family.
this is hard to put together, family. So
yeah,
I want to thank Billy for just Billy's like willing to work with anybody. So
yeah.
he's like totally ego free. So Billy, enjoy yourself, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
You too.
Peace.
All
Peace,
right, peace,
family.
Peace,
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 All
peace.
God.
right.
All right, so y'all want to continue? We got about 20 minutes left.
I did want
Uh,
to say this
yeah,
real quick, brother.
yeah, yeah,
Going deeper into the female energy. I mean the cat energy.
yes, sir.
The totems. You know, the shamans when they used to the shamans themselves, they always traveled to the innerverse. You know,
Mm,
they when they did astral travel, they traveled inwardly, and they would
mm,
use the totems and the animal spirits to actually guide them through the stargates inside themselves. You know, like they say, as within, so without, as above, so below. So the shamans knew how to tap into stargates inside themselves, and the totems and the animal spirits will be guides. Like they would say, find your animal spirit. You know what I mean? And the cat itself has always been a protector of stargates. The cat itself, you know. Even you see Basset standing next to the temples in Egypt. You know, Basset is also the protector of children. Children come from the kitty cat, which is the vagina, the stargate. You know, the natural stargate was the vagina. So yeah, that cat energy is very, very powerful. And I just want to throw out there that we also had stargates on the inside of us that the cat energy and the different animal tones will help us travel through also as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. The just very short thing is I want to say about the Sphinx. It was actually called Hamakos or Hahu. It was the Sphinx is a Greek word, and we don't want to get caught up too much in what the Greeks were calling our land or our ancestors' land. The so-called Sphinx or Hamakos was actually the symbol of the lion and Virgo. Like like my brother said, it was the head of a woman that was blown off by the 21 gun salute of Napoleon, and it was a female. You could see by I believe it was who was the man, the French adventurer who actually went to Kemet before the face was blown off. And there is a picture that was drawn by one of the members. His name was Count Volney, and his one of his people or himself drew a picture of the face, and it was definitely the face of a woman, not of a man. The way they tried to do it on Disney's, that nonsense that Disney put out. Um, it was actually talking about the precession of the sun from Leo into Virgo. Um, So if you look at the two, those that sign right there, the so-called Sphinx was actually talking about a period of time when they were getting ready for the inundation. And as my good brother said about the pyramid, the capstone was missing because it was removed. The capstone showed really how old the pyramid really was. It did go back 36,000, more than like 50,000 years, because the capstone was actually aligned directly with Polaris. When the spinning of the dome, almost like a gyroscope, actually had Polaris directly over the center of the Earth, which is where they actually built the Great Pyramid of Giza at that time, being the center of the Earth. It is seen as the center of the Earth. So right then, at that point, the capstone, which essentially the pyramid was nothing more than an energy conducer. It was a transducer of energy. It was a gigantic cyclotron based on all the materials that was actually encompassed in it and what it harnessed as far as energy is concerned. It was necessary to rebalance the energy after the dome was split and made the Milky Way and was closed together by one of the goddesses, and that's a whole other story. But know that the pyramid, essentially the capstone, at the time when it existed, because they said it never existed, it did exist. It actually pointed directly under Polaris, at the
Mm,
time when Polaris was there. That
mm,
tells you that as far as the rotational cycle going through eons,
mm,
it was over 50,000 years
mm,
within that particular time cycle. They say 36,000.
mm,
So it did go through many different changes, many different risings of the oceans and the settling of the oceans.
mm,
Many different continents came up and left. And
mm.
that's why there's so much of our grand materials, powerful materials that the European is going deep down into the oceans to try to harness that belongs to our old technologies that went under the waves.
This question isn't a super deep question, but it's like a necessary question because the technology that we use right now, why the things that we see, sometimes our cell phones don't pick up on it. We be like, "Yo, I just seen this shit in the sky, UFO." We go to get a cell phone and it ain't there. So it's like, why are the technology that we use that we call so advanced doesn't pick up on what the human eyes see? The
That's
human
because
eyes is nothing but a
yeah,
form of technology. Go ahead,
it's
Doc.
secondary, brother,
Go ahead,
because
go ahead,
they're
go ahead.
giving you that technology to get your mind, the first and original technology.
Mm,
This is the technology you're supposed to be enhancing
mm,
and developing. And they
mm,
got you away from it so that they make you into a cyborg. So now you're a cyborg. You're depending upon this.
mm,
All of your mind, heart, soul, spirit, your whole life is in this little piece of plastic. They're
mm,
supposed to be here, and they're
mm,
not teaching you how to use this technology. This technology can travel through different dimensions, but they want you trapped in this because they feed on you. You have something called ectoplasmic blood, and you constantly bleed it under trauma.
mm,
There was a man named Robert Monroe who called it loosh, which is ectoplasmic blood. The more you are in pain, the more they can inflict fear, the more you bleed ectoplasmic blood, and then you call these psycho, what do you call it, parasites that
mm,
enter into your energy and bring you those diseases. All kinds of porous auras because of what they eat, think, and the fear that they actually are under. And that's why they keep the fear module into the news. The news is not there to give you news, it's there to keep you in fear so that
mm,
they continue to feed. These are psychic vampires.
mm.
They
So,
call it bad news.
yeah, yeah, well, this is blues, your daily blues. Well, your news,
Blues, the
yeah,
daily
the news
blues.
is actually north, east, west, and south. That's what it means.
Mm,
So they're just playing games about where they want to control all information in all directions. That's what that news really means.
mm,
So I would say that yes, the sky rotates,
mm,
and if you get the right camera and you set it up, you will see that you are not spinning anywhere. It's that the stars and everything are rotating above you at a particular rate that you cannot see, but you can feel it if you open your heart and your mind and you do not let the thoughts of fear, jealousy, greed, what they call in Catholicism the seven deadly sins. Those are those are seven frequencies of thinking that destroy your ability to become more spiritual.
mm, mm,
Which because they undermine your ability to psychically connect to higher realms of the universe where you are required to go to unlock certain energies to transmute into the body.
Mhm.
Right. So if you keep in a fear state, it keep you at a low vibrational frequency. So now they can keep you under control. You are controllable now. They can
Yeah,
get you to go along to get along, but soon as you break that mental barrier, you're not gonna go along to get along no more.
that's right. That's
Right. So this is what they don't want you to know, and me and Dr. Valentine gonna tell it.
right. No, you're right. No, you're right.
indeed, indeed.
Cause I ain't gonna be scared of them. I'm not backing down. I'm not shutting up.
Yeah.
Right. So we know who they are. It's no
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
secret.
yeah, they're exposed. They
Right.
know it, and that's why they're fearful now, and that's why
Mm,
you're going to see more of the oppression. Their oppression and their violence and their volatility is their fear being expressed,
mm,
because they can no longer contain what is about to happen. There's a shift in paradigm that's going to wash them out of there. It's going to be like the toilet flushes, and
mm,
all the shit that they represent is going to go down with it.
mm.
So I want to say this to you, for
Yeah.
those of you, please, if you're going to use the link, um, if you're having problems, I just want to say this. I don't mean to interrupt.
Mm,
I have to definitely get in contact with my wife.
mm.
Um, please go to 800-847-1291. Again, 800-847-1291. If you have
Can you put that number in the comments?
Yeah, you see, he froze as soon as he said that number. Wow, family. Rod, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you
keep
fine.
knocking out. Oh, okay, I'm sorry
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
keep blanking out. And
Yeah,
if,
He don't even know. Dr. Valentine, you hear
yeah,
me?
yeah, I can
Dr.
hear you.
Give
Valentine,
Brother Rich that number again so he can
give
ping
me
it
the
in the
number.
comments.
You froze as soon as you said the number. What's the number?
I didn't freeze. They keep knocking
On
me
my
out.
end. On my end, tell me.
Yeah, 800
800,
847
847.
1291. And
Okay.
if they're having a problems, they can also send it to my private email at sunu777 at gmail. That's SUNNU 777 at gmail. S as in science, U, N as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, U 777 at gmail. Just put webinar in the subject box, and then I will send you the link. Again, I've been having a lot of calls of people telling me that they're having problems when they
Mm,
go to the link.
mm,
I'll send the link to them if they are having that problem. But I'm hoping to see everybody who was here. This has been an
yeah,
incredible.
incredible.
Brother Richard done did it again, brother. You
Yeah.
just took it to the hoop
Over
and
8,000. We got 8,000 people right now, Doc.
slam dunk, brother.
8,000 people. We have over 8,000 people right now live.
Slam dunk, brother. Slam dunk. And I'm hoping that everybody does show up on the 5th
Yeah,
because
yeah,
this here is the appetizer. And I
yeah.
know, the brothers know when if they can get us alone, you get with brothers here separately, they're gonna take you on a trip that Willy Wonka would only wish he had the ability to. So I would suggest that you definitely get in touch with every one of these brothers and definitely, fellowship with these brothers and find out what it is that the creator within them has given them the inspiration to express and
Hey,
all the love to you all. As an elder in the 70s, I see that the torch is actually definitely lit and the
Yeah.
darkness is being uh definitely being destroyed. And with that, I'd like to say thank you very much for this kind invitation, Brother Rich, once again,
Yeah.
for us to be able to speak and address to the people, and for the dais, all of you brothers. I'm listen, my heart is filled. I'm gorged right now. I wouldn't need to eat anything anymore. I think I could just go to bed right now and just say, okay, what I thought wasn't going to happen, what I thought couldn't happen, it happened.
Hey,
All
hey,
right.
Doc. So
Mm,
I want to say thank you, Doc. I'm gonna let you go now. I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna end out the show with Rod Hayes and Brother Yosef. But Doc, thank you for joining us, my brother. I truly appreciate your presence, Doc.
Much
All
love to
love
you.
to the elder. Peace
If
to the
Much
that
God.
love. Thank
Uh,
you. Thank you, Dr.
hey,
time
Phil.
you need me, you got my number.
indeed. All right, peace, Doc.
Peace and
All
blessings.
right.
Everybody.
For anybody who wants to support, we're rounding out the show. Oh, what an amazing show! I'm left with the brother Rod Hayes and the brother Yosef. I want to include the brothers' cash apps if you want to support these two individuals. I know Rod Hayes. Yeah, it's SIK. What else? Rod.
APE, capital S, capital A. $ capital SIK, capital APE.
So I just put Rod Hayes cash app and put brother Yosef cash app. Brother Yosef, what's your cash app?
$ bro Yosef, BROYOSEF. And it'll be the pyramid with the New Life tools inside.
Okay, yeah, okay. So I just include brother Yosef Cash App. Oh shit. Let me see. Damn, did I get rid of Rod Hayes? All right. Man, okay, here go Rod Hayes right here.
And I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know either. He just disappeared. But
Hey,
listen,
Rich,
family.
you
Yeah,
you
get Rod.
You outdid yourself this time, man.
Yeah.
I enjoyed them brothers. I enjoyed you, the company,
Absolutely.
the audience watching. I had a blast today. I just want y'all to know that the organic people of the land is here to reclaim what's rightfully ours by birthright to the earth rights, and that three kings walking the land is what we looking for. Free Larry Hoover is the battle cry, and it's the return of the matriarchy is in process. So whether they like it, whether they don't like it, they're going to learn to love it. These sisters about to get what's rightfully theirs by birthright, right? The work has been done. The confirmations have been in. The elders have spoken. Now the big mamas is stepping up, organizing. I had a couple of groups of elder women contacted me saying we ready to go get what's ours. We already know what we need to do. We just need to know how to link these pieces together. So that's what we're working on.
Indeed.
You know, so it's wrap. The fictitious corporation has been told to leave. The people that brought the fictitious corporation is also told to leave. I don't know where they're going, but they can't stay here. You know, they turned us against each other, turned our children one against the other. They raped our sons and daughters. You know, they played piñata with our corpses as they hung us and burned us from trees. That's a wrap. Enough. Right? And all of the spiritual information is coming right in to support the physical actions that's taking place on the land. This is the return of the ancient ones. The guys walk among me, and y'all just think they regular people.
Facts, my brother.
Yep. So I appreciate you, Rich. I had a ball.
Brother Yosef, you want to add on to that before we get out of here?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything that Brother Rod Hayes said. 100%. It's definitely the rise of the matriarch energy. I just had an incredible time tonight. I'm honored that my elders was allowed me to even sit at the table tonight. You know what I mean? I watch all these brothers. I was just honored, you know, to be here. So, you know, I didn't want to say much. I want to throw my stuff in, but let the elders talk because I wanted to listen more than anything. You know, I want to hear everybody's perspective. So I'm just honored, man. I'm grateful to Brother Rod Hayes, Brother Billy Carson, Brother Phil, and especially you, Brother Rich, for allowing this thing to happen. It's like this was the perfect mixture. This was the perfect mixture to bring different mindsets, lower, higher, everybody from different perspectives, you know? So yeah, it was perfect, brother. I really enjoyed myself tonight.
Indeed. Man, family, with that being said, I want to thank everybody. We still have over 7,600 people in here in the building. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. We're going to make this happen more often. This is the new energy that's being presented to the planet. We're used to watching all types of we're used to watching Drink Champs and the Breakfast Club having these type of numbers, and there's nothing wrong with these individuals having these type of numbers, but spirituality is going to start to having big numbers. People are starting to be real interested in spirituality. And
hey, Brother Rich, I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
See if you can get Chief Warhorse to be your guest on here. I'd like to see you talk to her.
That's a sister? That's good. Chief, what's her YouTube channel?
I'll send you a video of her.
All right, send it to me. I'm gonna check it out. And I'm gonna give it special attention just because you said it. So with that being said, family, like I said, there's so much new people coming up in the crop and presenting new information, family. This is absolutely wonderful. I'm grateful to be a part of this process. With that being said, Brother Rich, Brother Yosef, Rod Hayes, we getting out of Dr. Phil Valentine, Billy Carson, we getting out of here, family. Peace and blessings. Take care tonight and just do what you got to do, family. Peace.
Peace, family. Peace.
All right.